The Galactic Naval Academy's central corridor hummed with the usual afternoon activity. Students from a dozen different species moved between classes, their chitinous shells, scaled skin, and feathered crests creating a tapestry of alien diversity. Among them walked Nancy, her plain human features and modest frame drawing little attention exactly how she preferred it. Parker stood near the viewport, gazing at the station's orbital view of the binary star system they circled. His uniform was crisp, regulation perfect, though the fabric strained slightly across shoulders built from 18 years of Earth's crushing. 1G gravity. He barely noticed the group of 7 approaching him until they'd formed a semicircle. Cutting off his path, Deathworlder, hissed Zexathar, a Cortasian whose species had evolved on a moon with 0.3G gravity. His elongated limbs gave him nearly 2 meters of height. Though his actual body mass was less than half of Parker's. "You think you're better than us?" Parker's expression remained neutral. He'd heard this before. The other species at the Academy had a complicated relationship with humans. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, a planet so hostile to life that the fact humans had evolved there at all was considered a statistical impossibility. High gravity, lethal microorganisms, predator-filled ecosystems, extreme weather patterns, and an oxygen content that would be toxic to most species made Earth a nightmare world. "I don't think anything of the sort," Parker replied calmly. "Please move. I have engineering dynamics in 10 minutes." The Cortasian's companions to Veline with their crystalline exoskeletons, 3 Hyverthi who resembled oversized mantises, and a Glorpian blob that pulsed with bioluminescent irritation pressed closer. Students in the corridor began to take notice, forming a loose ring around the Confrontation. "Your kind doesn't belong here." One of the Veline clicked, its translator rendering the hostile tone perfectly. "Deathworlders, everything about you is excessive. Your muscle density, your reaction time, your pain tolerance, it's unnatural." Nancy had been reviewing her quantum mechanics notes. When she heard Parker's name mentioned in angry tones, she looked up to see the Confrontation developing and immediately began moving through the crowd. She knew Parker could handle himself perhaps too well. "That was the problem. We're going to teach you some humility," Zexathar announced, reaching out with one long, thin arm to shove Parker's shoulder. What happened next would be analyzed on security footage for weeks afterward. Parker's hand moved with the speed of a creature evolved to snatch flying insects from the air, to dodge striking snakes, to react to predators that could appear from any direction. His fingers wrapped around Zexathar's wrist before the Cortasian even registered the movement. The Deathworlder didn't pull, didn't yank, he simply held firm. And the difference in bone density, in muscle power forged by Earth's relentless gravity, became immediately apparent. Zexathar's confident expression transformed into one of shock as he tried to pull back and found himself utterly immobilized. It was like his arm had been caught in a hydraulic press set to barely engage. The Veline lunged simultaneously from Parker's left. In the 0.8G environment of the station considered comfortable by most species, Parker moved, as though the universe had been rendered in slow motion. He sidestepped, his Earth-evolved proprioception making the station's artificial gravity feel like swimming through water. One Veline sailed past him, completely off balance. The other found its crystalline arm caught in Parker's free hand. The 3 Hyverthi attacked with coordinated precision, their species having evolved as pack hunters. They were fast by the standards of most galactic species. Their homeworld's 0.6G had allowed for quick, darting movements. Against a human, they might as well have been moving through syrup. Parker released Zexathar's wrist and the Veline's arm, not wanting to accidentally shatter their fragile bones. He dropped lower than any of the attackers could comfortably reach, given their low-gravity physiology, and swept outward with one leg. The move was basic, something he'd learned in childhood self-defense classes. The Hyverthi fell in a tangle of limbs, their lighter bodies offering no resistance. The Glorpian tried to engulf Parker from behind, its amorphous body attempting to smother the human. It had worked on others before. The oxygen deprivation would cause most species to panic within seconds. Parker held his breath with the ease of a species that had evolved to dive deep underwater, to hold air while running from predators, to function in thin mountain atmosphere. He reached back, grabbed a portion of the Glorpian's mass, and pulled it off with the casual strength of someone removing a scarf. 7 seconds. That's how long it had taken from first contact to the moment. All 7 attackers lay on the corridor floor, groaning and shocked, but uninjured. Nancy arrived just as station security rushed onto the scene, their equipment beeping warnings about the sudden spike in physical activity. She took in the situation, immediately Parker standing calm and controlled. His attackers scattered around him like leaves after a storm, and the crowd of witnesses with their various appendages raised. Recording everything, Parker, Nancy said quietly, stepping beside him. "You okay?" He nodded, his breathing barely elevated. To the security officers, she said, "The security footage will show they attacked first." Parker defended himself with appropriate restraint. The head security officer, a grizzled Mandarin veteran who'd seen his share of interspecies conflicts, reviewed his handheld scanner. Confirmed. The human showed remarkable control. Any one of those holds could have caused serious injury given the strength differential. As medics arrived to check on the 7 attackers most suffering from nothing worse than bruised egos and a newfound respect for Deathworld physiology, Nancy caught Parker's eye. She saw something there beyond the physical capability, beyond the genetic advantages of a high-gravity origin. She saw restraint, discipline, the choice to be gentle with those who'd shown him none of that courtesy. "You could have hurt them," she said softly. Parker's expression was grave. "That's exactly why I didn't. Being strong doesn't mean you should use it. Earth taught us that the hard way." Nancy smiled. This was why humans were at the academy, she thought. Not because they were the strongest or the fastest, but because a species that had clawed its way up from a death world understood something precious. That power without wisdom was just violence. And that true strength lay in choosing peace even when you could easily choose otherwise. As they walked toward engineering dynamics together, leaving the chaos behind them, the other students parted like water. But it wasn't fear in their eyes anymore. It was something else entirely. It was respect.